Hello everyone and welcome to this Excel video produced by Expand Your Skills. Over the next few weeks I intend to take a slight change of direction, and rather than use a video to explain how a function works in detail, I want to produce some real world problems, situations, and show how they can be resolved using Excel and formulas, but still trying to avoid VBA where we can, so that it's in the hands of most regular Excel users. And today we're going to look at a unique drop-down list. What do I mean by that? Well, let's have a look at this example. One of the companies I work with is a haulage firm, and they use a spreadsheet to allocate each day drivers to particular vehicles. So for example, here I've got some random vehicle registration set up. On a second tab I've got a list of drivers' names, and these are linked to column B here so that I can use a drop down list to select Richard driving that vehicle, Laura in this one, etc, etc. But what this current spreadsheet doesn't allow, or rather does allow, is for the same person to be allocated to more than one vehicle. And clearly that's not the case. So the problem here is trying to create a drop-down list so that once a name has been used, is not in this selection list again. So if we just delete these names here and then have a look at how we are going to do this. So obviously we need to change this list and delete names from it as we go. And our starting point is going to be using an if function together with a COUNTIF, and it will look something like this. So we're going to count if, and the range. We want to be looking in the range here, which is our lookup table. And what we want to be looking for in that range is this gentleman here, or this driver here. So what we're saying is look for the driver in column A in the drop-down list on the previous spreadsheet and count them. So if Robert appears no times, which is what we want, then this cell should equal A2, i.e. the driver's name. And if it does appear more than once, then it should be just blank, as so. And there's Robert names appear. Now we need to freeze this cell, or this cell range. Copy and paste down all the names pre-filled. So now if we go into here and in the drop down choose a few names at random, we'll see that these names have now disappeared from the list. And if I go back here, oh no, I haven't updated this, have I? So let's just go back here into data validation and change our list, which I created here, into this range, and OK. And now if I go into here, the names that I've already used have disappeared. So that works. So I can't select Jean or Jeff again, but it's messy because where the names have been taken out, it's left a gap, obviously. So that does work, but it's not ideal. It's not what we're looking for. It's not attractive enough. So what we need to do is get rid of these blanks. And there's a couple of steps to doing this, but the first one is I want to know the row number of each of the rows where there is a name in column B. So for example, I'm going to use if B2 doesn't equal blank, then I want this column to be the row number for B2 minus 1. Otherwise, leave it blank. And I need to put an equals there, otherwise nothing's going to happen. And if I just copy and paste that down, then we'll have a look at it in a bit more detail. So what I'm saying here is if B2, i.e. Robert's name here, doesn't equal a blank, which in case it doesn't, then return to me the row number of B2, which in this case would be 2. But I want it to be the first one in the list, so just take away 1 to come to take away 1 to come to 1. And in this case, if there is a name in the box, you just leave it blank. So that's part 1 of what we want to do. And the second step now is to get rid of these blanks. Okay, so this is going to be using the small function, which you may not have come across before. And another one of these really helpful descriptions, it returns the kth smallest value in a data set, for example the 5th smallest number. So what we're going to do is set our range as C2 to C15, which is where those numbers have appeared. And our array for this section will be C2, C2. Close brackets, Mr. Bracket, there we go. And again, if I just copy and paste this down, and then we'll explain it in a bit more detail. I just need to lock those cells and also just the first, the first one here. So copy that down so you can see the effect that has. It has got rid of all the blanks and just put them down to the bottom here. So how does it work? So if we look at this function step by step, so small first of all, it's looking at the array. So in the array C2 to C15, which is here, find for me the first smallest number. Okay, reason it's first is because it's looking in the array C2 to C2, which in this case is only one box. So I'm saying in that range, look for the first smallest number. And then in the next box, we're looking in the same array, so C2 to C15. So in this array, find me the second smallest number. Okay, reason it does that is it counts the number of rows between C2 and C3, which is obviously 2, second smallest number, 4, and so on between C2 and C4. Sorry, not between C2 and C4. C2 to C4, there's 3 numbers, so it's looking for the third smallest number, etc., etc. So that's how that works. What we also need to do, though, again, it's messy. We want to get rid of these nums, these errors at the bottom. So we'll just put in if error at the beginning, and at the end, just say if it's an error, just leave it blank, like so. And there they go. So at the moment, we've got a nice long list of numbers. So we now need to convert those back to names. And to do that, we're going to use a function we've used before. I used before when I was doing the league tables, is index. So look up for me in the array over here. So this array, find me the name that corresponds with this number. And it comes back with Robert. Just copy and paste that down. No, actually, I just need to lock those skits there. Oops, messed that up. Let's go back again. Copy and paste down. And you'll see that Richard has now moved up, Kevin has now moved up, corresponding with their number here. So again, what's this formula doing? I'm asking it in the array A2 to A15, which is down here, find the first name for me, so in D2, which is Robert. Next one down, find for me D3 is 4, the fourth name down, etc., etc. And again, we've got these nasties down the bottom, so we'll just do an if error at the beginning and leave it blank if it's so. Like so. And we can use that list of names now in our data validation over here. So if you go back into data validation, on a list, choose a list. This time we'll use this row column here. And OK. And you'll see again, all the gaps here have gone. I can only use one name at a time. But what it has done is it's moved all the gaps down to the bottom. Right? Which again, it works, but it's not right. It's not aesthetically pleasing, but there's all the names you see. Like so. So how do we get rid of the spaces at the end? Let's have a clear out here a minute. Let's just get rid of all of these. So our list of names here returns to the full list. We're going to use for this the offset function, which is another one I don't think I've used before in one of these videos. And there's a description. It returns a reference to a range that has a given number of rows and columns from a given reference. Okay, another nice straightforward explanation. If I just type in the formula a minute, and we will go from there. So we're just going to start off by typing in a cell reference, E2, which is the name Robert, a couple of zeros, then a count, count, that range there, followed by 1, followed by return. Did something wrong there, but it's going to correct it for me. And there we are, gone wrong slightly because it's got an extra 0 come down at the end here. Just bear with me 1 second. That took far longer than it should have done to find, but I just put the bracket in the wrong place. If we move that one, there we go. So let's get rid of the 0. So this is producing the information we want, as you can see. If I just use up a couple of names here. We have the list as required. And in an ideal world, what we would be able to do is copy this formula into our data validation. So if we try to copy and paste that, but unfortunately, that's not something we're able to do. So what we have to do instead, and again, don't think I've used this before, is if I copy that formula a moment, and then go into formulas, we're going to define a formula. So we'll call this formula dropdown, and in the refers to, we'll just copy and paste our formula. And what we can now do is update our data validation in this range here, just by going to data validation here. In this case, we're going to use a list, and our source will be what we called our named range dropdown. Okay, and now when we go into here, you'll see the names will disappear. So I type in Stuart once, and he's gone. But also the formatting is so much more professional, as hopefully you can see. So one thing we've not covered there is what is this formula offset doing for us up here. And as with many Excel functions, it looks quite scary. Has 5 arguments in it, but if we just go through one by one, so offset. The first is a cell reference. Okay, E2 is the beginning of our list of names. The second, or the 2 zeros there, I'm telling it to basically go to E2 and then offset by no rows and no columns. So I want you to start with Robert at the top there. And then I want you to show me this number of rows. So this is the clever bit that's doing the number of rows and one column, because there is only one column. So the count here is counting the numbers in D2 to D15. Count, don't forget, only counts numbers. So in this column here, there's 6 numbers. So it's the offset function therefore is going starting here in E2, offsetting 0, 0. So no rows, no columns. Go down 6 rows and just return 1 column for me. And there you are. And that's what we have. Works brilliantly. Does exactly as we wish. So I hope that helps. Any questions, as always, drop me an email or put some comments in the section below. And I look forward to hearing from you, speaking to you next time. Best wishes, and as always, if you have got any particular queries or issues, do feel free to contact me. My email is below as well. I've had a couple of recent conversations with people via email, helping them resolve a few problems they had. So it's what I do, it's what I enjoy. Please do get in touch, and I'll speak to you next time.